Welcome back to my podcast. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Review by Top Shelf Tammie. That's me, where I review and make recommendations on books for you guys to read. So I'm excited. So let's jump right in. This will be series one of new books. So yes, jumping right into our first book. This would be considered a fresh read. This is not a reread for me. I know most of the time because I have read so many books in the past, I bring you guys something that I have read before that I know is going to hit. But this is a fresh read, so that's cool or whatever because it still hit, right? So we are going to jump right into this book. As I mentioned before, I have not read this book. This was a fresh read for me. I believe it was a first time read for this author as well, but she didn't disappoint. So I'm not mad. So we are going to jump right into our first book of the episode. And this book is titled Airplane Mode: An Arranged Marriage by J. Dominique. Alrighty, guys, are you ready? Alrighty. Alrighty, guys. So jumping right into the review for Airplane Mode: Arranged Marriage by J. Dominique. Again, that is the author. The setting of this book was Chicago, Illinois. The book was published March 9th of 2025. My genre classification of this book is a true urban romance. So it was no surprises there. Was it some errors in this book? It was some errors in this book, but they wasn't big enough to interrupt the flow of the story or anything like that. So I'm not bad. I'm not mad about that. And then we did have a vocabulary word, and the vocabulary word is balked, and it is to refuse abruptly. So yes, you know how we love a vocabulary queen around here. So yes, I was glad we had a little vocabulary in this book. And then we are going to move right on to our main characters, which was Avery and Masai. And then in book two, we are going to add Cruz and Kiani to the mix. So yes, let's jump right on into the summary. Okay, so my personal summary for this book goes as such. Avery White spent years putting everyone else first. After losing her mom, she finally decides it's time to live, starting with her first flight and a promise to do something bold. What she didn't plan on was him. Masai Carter is rich, ruthless, and bound by family expectations. His life is mapped out: the business, the marriage, the legacy. But when he meets Avery, one night of escape turns into a dangerous addiction. What was supposed to be a quick fix for loneliness becomes a slow burn neither of them can walk away from. He's power and control, she's freedom and fire. Together, they're pure turbulence. Now he's torn between the life he's built and the woman who makes him want to risk it all. But when secrets, passion, and duty collide, someone's heart, or maybe their whole world, is going down in flames. Airplane Mode isn't just a romance, it's a full blown high altitude obsession. Yes, guys. So, just a short in the summary, just a little bit. We're going to have Avery. She is our girl character. Then we are going to have Masai, which is the guy character. And yeah, I don't want to get too much away. Just that's enough. That's enough for this episode. We have questions and discussions next week. So don't worry about it. Okay. So moving on to the rest of the report. Was the book engaging? So yes, this book was engaging, and I always kind of describe the beginning of the book when I speak on if the book is engaging or not. But this book starts out with our main character, Avery. She's like a very quiet, shy, just like to herself type of person. And like as the summary mentioned, this is her first flight. She has never kind of did too much with her life, and it's explaining all of that in the beginning, right? And then she sets out on this like grand vacation, and she's like, I'm going to challenge myself to do some things that I normally don't do and I wouldn't do. So the beginning of the book is definitely engaging, and the whole book is definitely engaging, but I always kind of like I say, speak to the fact on if it's engaging in the beginning. Because if it's not engaging in the beginning to me, then I'm not gonna finish the book. So the book was engaging. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys just a tad bit. She has like a panic attack in the beginning of the book on the airplane. Read this book. Read this book. So we're just gonna give you that. So yes, it was engaging. It drew me in the beginning. Okay, so was the plot predictable? So my answer for that is yes and no. Of course. The part of it being predictable is like you know they gonna fall in love, you just don't know when, why, or how. But the trouble that comes along with them falling in love is very unpredictable. So that's kind of my answer to that question. So a little bit yes and a lot of no. Okay. The book strengths. The book strengths to me was a strong story. It's a complete story. It was fun. It was fast. It was quick. It was to the point. So that is the book strengths to me. The book weaknesses. Not really any book weaknesses. Probably just the small errors. The Arthur. Come on, y'all. We could have definitely got the book's proof. That's just like my pet peeve. But like I said, it's not enough to cause like a interruption to like our storyline. So I skate past the errors. So it's okay. Did the book make you care about the characters? So absolutely. You become very invested in their lives due to their circumstances very quick. Because it's gonna get the introductions of each character, like we're gonna get there quick. And it sets the tone for each person, and then you are like, oh man. So you become very drawn into the characters and emotionally attached very quickly. So yes, the book does make you care about the characters. Absolutely. Was the plot and the dialogue believable? Okay, so the dialogue was absolutely believable. They spoke regular, just like us, down to earth, regular everyday people. Of course, like I wouldn't bring you guys a book where they speak so outlandishly. It's unbelievable. That's probably one of the things that probably would turn me off about a book. So for the most part, the dialogue is believable. And let me pat myself on the back because that means I'm doing a good job of picking a book. Okay. But the plot was a little unbelievable, but not in a bad way. The plot is he's in an arranged marriage. Masai is in an arranged marriage, but it's not to Avery, it's to another woman. And I feel like anytime you get to talking about arranged marriages, then the plots are kind of, I feel like, unbelievable because that's not something we really see on a like an everyday basis for like regular people. So it can kind of get unbelievable. And then some more stuff happened that was like unbelievable, but it made the story interesting. So it's not unbelievable in a bad way. And it's not so unbelievable that it's like, you know what, this shit is fake. It's not like that. So it's actually unbelievable in a good way. I didn't say it was a book weakness, so you guys know it's good. Inaccuracies to the book. There was no inaccuracies. So the errors that I mentioned earlier, they wasn't like timeline skips and then like something didn't match up anymore or something like that. It was just like little errors or something like that. So for the most part, the book is accurate. Wasn't an issue there. Trigger warnings in this book, we did not have too many trigger warnings, but murder. But murder. That was the only one. So again, this has been Airplane Mode, Arranged Marriage by J. Dominique. My rating for this book, for this book, I would give this book 4.5 stars. So I definitely feel like this is a book that you will come across and you will want to recommend it to people. This book is not bad at all. Oh, the thing that mostly stands out about this book to me, I'm gonna let you guys know the sex scenes in this book was great. The sex scenes in this book was phenomenal. I think that's kind of sometimes some of the things that we look for in the book, like how spicy is it? The spiciness is hidden in this book. So again, Airplane Mode or Arranged Marriage by J. Dominique. I give this book 4.5 stars, and a review, I recommend you, girl. Alrighty, guys. So moving right into the next book of today's series. Now I gotta give y'all a little prelude on this one. I don't think I have read a book by this author before, and this was also a fresh read for me. So while I was cruising through Kindle, I was like, let me try to find a mystery. That's what I was searching for, a mystery again, because we had that mystery a couple episodes ago, and that book was fire to me. So I was like, let me see if I could strike gold again. And so the titles are coming up and everything like that. And this title, I was searching while I was eating lunch, and when I seen this title, I literally choked. Like, how do you choke and you're reading it? Now, when somebody tell you shocking information, then it's one thing to choke, but I literally choked reading it. Okay. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you guys in on the title as well. So brace yourself. Our second book of today is Sleeping with My Husband's Son by India Ray. Sleeping with my husband's son, y'all. Oh my God. When I read that, I said, oh yeah, I gotta read this book. I not only do I gotta read this book, I gotta review this book. So without further ado, y'all, let's jump right into this report so you can pick which two of the books that you want to read from today, and then we can get to next week's episode a little bit more faster. So let's start this review. Again, this book is Sleeping with My Husband's Son. The author is India Ray. The setting in this book was Atlanta, Georgia. This book was published November 30th, 2020. Now, even with this book being an older read, it does not read like an older read. So I don't think they mentioned too many like slang 2020 words or anything like that, because I couldn't even tell when I got to the end of the series that this book was 2020 until I actually got to the report part to see that it was a 2020 book. So don't be thrown off by that. It's not dated or anything like that. So please do not let this date stop you. This is a great read. My genre classification of this book, I would say it is a urban mystery. I would say mystery, a urban mystery. Because romance, mm-mm. So he just gonna stick to that. We're gonna say urban mystery. Errors in this book. It was some errors in this book. I will say that with this book being older, I would think that the author maybe had time to go back and proof it and just re-release it or something like that, but it has not been done. This book definitely needs to be proof. It is some errors in here. It is not enough to stop the flow of the storyline, but it is some errors in this book. Okay, and then we do have some vocabulary with this book as well. So, yes, vocabulary queens today, guys. Alrighty, so our vocabulary word is fort. I'm going to spell that for you guys because I want you to understand what, like the fullness of the word. So it's THWART. So fort. And it means to oppose successfully. So yes, she definitely put me up on a new word. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I'm going to challenge myself too. All right, so our main characters in this story is Kataya and Camden. Kataya is actually going to be the husband's wife in that title, and Camden is going to be the husband's son in that title. All right, we are going to skip on down to our summary, and then we're going to finish this report up. All righty, guys. So again, this is my summary of Sleeping with My Husband's Son by India Ray. Kataya's been a picture perfect wife, rich, pampered, and loyal, while her retired baller husband, Greer, has been out here doing him. After years of lies and cheating, Kataya's done playing the fool. But that prenup, iron tight. She can't leave without losing everything, unless she gets a little creative. Enters Camden, Greer's fine, estranged son with a grudge of his own. What starts as revenge turns into something wild, dangerous, and way too hot to control. Now, they're both playing with fire, passion, secrets, and betrayal that can ruin them all. This book is messy, juicy, scandalous in all the best ways. You'll need a drink and a fan for this one. Yeah. I hate when I do that because you guys can tell which one of these books is gonna be my favorite already because I give it away. I do not have a poker face, guys. Okay, so let's get into the rest of this review, and then y'all off to do your homework. Was the book engaging? Absolutely. A book with the title Sleeping with My Husband's Son, you know it's going to be engaging. The book opens up full of drama. It gets right to it with just a tad bit of backstory, and it's engaging. It's engaging. Yes, absolutely. Was the plot predictable? The plot in this book was not predictable. It is a mystery, y'all. So y'all are going to enjoy this because the mysteries go like every time you think you got it, we get hit with a curveball. And that is what exactly happened in my analysis and my review of this book. Like every time I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. It went left, but not in a bad way. So definitely not in a bad way. It was just, it keep you on your toes. Book strengths. The book strengths to me was it was great entertainment. It was a great entertaining story. It had a strong plot. It has a strong storyline. Even though this is going to be a two-part book, I feel like it wasn't overdone. Sometimes when authors get into book 2 and 3, it's kind of like beating a dead horse, but no, all of this was needed. Everything was needed. Okay. So that is definitely the book strengths. It's in the end, I do still consider it a fairly short read, even when it's even though it's 2 books, it is still a strong story. And I feel like it's still a short read, even with the 2 books. You guys will see what I mean once you read it, because like I said, it's not redundant, it's not repetitive. It gets straight to the point, and all of the points are needed, even within the 2 books. I I'm almost a little ashamed to say that she could have probably went one more book. Because y'all know how I feel. Get to the point. The book weaknesses. Book weaknesses. The book weaknesses was definitely the typos and errors. It was some. It was, we had some change of character jobs. We had some name mix ups. It was definitely some proofing that needed to be done. And that was the weakness of the book. Like I said, was it enough to throw the storyline off? No. Could you read around it? Yes. But the, yeah, yeah. Does the book achieve this goal? This book absolutely achieves its goal of keeping you entertained to the last page. The last page, y'all. It's not a cliffhanger, it's a complete story. She's going to wrap it up, but you're still going to be entertained and shocked the last couple of sentences. Great. This book was great. Book was great. Did this book make you care about the characters? Absolutely. I was totally invested in their lives. This book, it don't give too much backstory, um, but it does give you enough of the current storyline to draw you in. Now, the first book, like I say, we give current storyline, but the second book, we give backstory. It builds that backstory, and then you are even more invested. Your jaw is even more on the flow, and you are even more like, oh my God, what is going on? Y'all gonna be like, what's going on? Because the title, y'all think that's the shocker. No, when you read the book, it's gonna be another shocker. And I just don't want to give it away. But you gotta read the book. Was the plot and the dialogue believable? Yes. So again, our characters, the verbiage and everything was there. Nothing was super outlandish or anything. So the dialogue was there. With the plot, even though this plot is crazy, it is still believable. This is going to be like one of those stories that you see on TV, and it happens in real life. So that's why, even though as crazy as the plot is, it's still believable. Absolutely. Inaccuracies. Again, as I mentioned before, we do have some errors. We do have some inaccuracies. The timeline doesn't really match up. The story will be moving along. It will appear that only maybe 2 or 3 days pass. the character would talk to another character again, and it seemed they will speak as if weeks have passed or months have passed, and it's not. In reality, in the course of the book, everything that happens, it did take months, but it was not written that way. So again, we do have some inaccuracies. The timeline doesn't is a little bit off. Again, we have mix ups in character details, names, and everything as such. So it's definitely some inaccuracies in this book. Alrighty, guys. So moving on to the last one, and that's our trigger warnings. This book does have a ton of trigger warnings. It does. Okay. So we are going to have rape in this book, drug abuse, alcoholism, and then murder. I would not discredit any of this. It is everything but the murder is in detail. So yeah. Yeah. Well, no, the murders are in detail as well. So I'll take that back. So yes. Is it heavily graphic and super sensitive? Reading it, if you don't have any history of these things and they don't bother you, absolutely you're fine. But you know why we do the trigger warnings? Because some people don't prefer to read certain things. So yes, the trigger warnings are there. My ratings for this book, if you guys cannot tell, 4.5 stars. I love this book. I love this book. Only reason this book did not get 5 stars is because of the errors and the inaccuracies. Other than that, I would have gave this book 5 stars. But does this book have all of the makings of a 5-star book, which is being a timeless book? Absolutely. As I mentioned before, this book was wrote in 2020. I could still read it in 2025. I could still read this book in 2030. Would this book pass the level of referring it to somebody? Absolutely. I'm referring it to you guys, and hopefully you refer it to somebody else. This is a great read. It is a true great read. It has the mystery, it has the suspense, it has the thriller. It was all there. It's all there. Okay. Again, I give this book 4.5 stars. And Sleeping with My Husband's Son by India Ray. The review, I recommend you, girl. Alrighty, guys. So I am not gonna hold you because with a review like that, I know you guys are interested in jumping into these books to read. If you guys would like to submit your reviews or what you thought about the books to me and have it possibly read on the show, you can email me at ts_tammiepod@yahoo.com. If you are an author who would like your book or your poem read or reviewed on the show, you can also email me there at ts_tammiepod@yahoo.com. If you guys want to follow me on the socials, my IG is topshelf_Tammie. I be lit. And then my TikTok is Top Shelf Tammie. I be definitely lit on that as well. Alrighty. And if you guys are following me on YouTube, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn your notifications on. I post every Thursday. And until next time, next week, where we do the questions and discussions of these juicy books, I'll see you guys then.